Welcome to the Somewhat Frank podcast, hosted by me, Frank Gruber, and joined by my friends and colleagues, Jen Consalvo and John Guidos. This podcast explores the latest trends and advancements in technology and business, including emerging startups and how they shape today while looking forward towards the future. We also enjoy testing new gadgets and products and sharing our findings too, along with our favorite pop culture picks like music, books, and what we're streaming. This podcast is produced in collaboration with our company, Established. Ready to dive in? Time to be somewhat frank. Welcome back to Somewhat Frank Podcast. This is episode 79. That's right. I'm your host, Somewhat Frank Gruber, and I'm joined by a great group of friends and colleagues and individuals. John Good Times Guidos, Jen can solve your problems, Consalvo, and Simon Maximus Kahan. Welcome, y'all. Let's go around the horn. We're going to do it in an unusual order, but Simon, you go first. What have you been up to?
Hey Frank, I am here staying with my parents in rural Vermont on technically a tree farm here in Vermont. And there's a ton of bugs here, which I always have to deal with every summer. And I've recently turned a page on spiders. I used to hate spiders, but we've kind of reconciled our differences, and we've turned a new leaf. So me and the spiders are, doing pretty good here in Vermont, but staying cool.
That's great. There's a song by Jordan Lindy you could check out about spiders. He's a little indie new musician. Check it out. It's all about spiders and how he's maybe come together with them as well. Glad to hear that you've come together with your spiders and are enjoying each other. But I bet it's nice out there right now. This is a good time of year to be out there.
Beautiful, beautiful time of the year. There's only around like maybe 7-8 weeks in total in Vermont in which it's not like really gloomy. And I'm right in the sweet spot, so I'll be out of here in like 3 weeks.
That's funny. All right, next up, let's talk to Johnny. Johnny, Chi-Town. What's up?
Hey everybody. Yeah, back to Chicago this past weekend, had a little bit of fun, went to a nice dinner, caught up with old friends. So it was nice to be back. I hadn't been there in a while.
That's great. Speaking of Chi-Town, Cubbies.
How are they doing?
They're tied. Well, they've lost a couple games to Milwaukee this week, but they're doing great. They're in second place right now, but have one of the best records in baseball next to the Milwaukee Brewers. So it's been a good season so far. All right, moving down the row here, Jen can solve your problems. Consalvo, what's going on?
Hello, Frank. Hi, everyone. Let's see. So most recently, I took a couple days and went over to New Hampshire to see Dave Matthews Band. It's like our annual pilgrimage to go see Dave play for a couple days with some other friends of ours. And it's an awesome area to go see a show. It's right near the Lake Winnipesaukee. And little did I know that I didn't know that there was this nickname, but I started seeing it around this year, which is Winnie. They're on Lake Winnie. I never heard that before, and I grew up around it, so that's interesting. I like it. So Lake Winnie was great, and show was awesome. Dave was amazing. He actually did a really nice tribute to Ozzy Osbourne, who apparently they were good buddies, and that was really touching and well done. And Simon, I'm about to send all of your little new spider buddies up to you. Like you can have ours. I'm just gonna
Yeah, I don't know.
give them up your way.
I'm still working on it. Still working on it.
What is it, the brown recluse? You don't want those. You don't want those near you.
Or what about, aren't those the wolf spiders that are like the size of your hand or something? You see those around here sometimes? You ever see those?
No, I don't thankfully see those, but I don't want to have spiders near me. So yeah, we'll send them up.
There's this kind that gosh, I was out back in the backyard and I saw one like right on the side of the house and it was huge. It was like, well, not like, a tarantula, but like, pretty sizable where you can see its eyes. And I had to take a picture and Google it because I was like, oh my God, there's some kind of like really dangerous spider in the backyard. And come to find out, it's like called like the common garden spiders.
That's right. I remember that. It's like
Something like that.
spider.
And it said like this spider's your best friend. Like it eats all the insects and keeps your home clean. And so I'm like, okay, I've got to learn to love this little gem of nature.
I don't dislike them. They eat mosquitoes and stuff. It's just I don't want to see the poisonous ones near me. That's the ones I don't like necessarily.
Yeah, I don't think anyone really wants to see those.
but I echo your enthusiasm for going to Winnie. I thought I made that up. I'm glad you clarified that. I thought I just started calling it Winnie. I don't know. I don't know if I heard it or just started doing it. So maybe that's where you
You
heard it.
saw it. You
Uh,
saw the little like hashtag Winnie and things like that that were floating around the area.
oh, I never saw it. Maybe absorbed it. I must have absorbed it just from being in the lake because I did go swimming in that lake and it is crystal clear and it was 81 degrees. So I don't know if that's normal or if that's climate related, but it was crystal clear and 81 and all I could think about was, oh God, I hope there's no brain-eating amoebas here. It was enjoyable.
It was beautiful.
Yeah. So moving on here, I've been heading up to Portland a little bit more than usual. I'm sporting the team here. Orange Bike Brewing is a friend of mine that owns it, Tom Ruff. He's built a business in Portland making gluten-free beer as well as brewing now non-alcoholic beer as well as some even he's calling it a spritz, which is like a really low alcohol drink that's not even beer. Not I don't even know how to classify it, but anyway, long story short, he did an event last week with Gratitude Railroad, which is an impact investment firm, and they've been doing like a tour around the country, and so I got to participate in this day-long event, which included like the Rue Institute, and there were some things at Toad and Co., which is a local company in Maine as well, and a lot of really interesting people working on continuing to support the effort of Orange Bike Brewing and what they're doing as they continue to grow their efforts. So excited about their future and what they're up to. So you can check them out at orangebikebrewing.com. All right. So also a little quick promo before we get into the topics at hand, our roundtable of discussions here. We actually had a podcast come out recently with one of the founders that we met through Start of the Year and our established network, and I was on one of our established networks, the Mikes, which is our monthly innovation circle, and it's with Dr. Amy Beckley, who we've known for a little while now, since about 2019. She's got a company that created the Prove, which is a basically changing the landscape for women's health. If you're interested in learning more about what she's doing, she was a scientist and just kind of turned this into a huge company, doing really well. So check it out over at the Startup of the Year podcast, which is our sister podcast, if you will. And you can learn all about what she's doing and learn some insights about how she created this thing in her basement and it turned into a product that's now on the shelves at Target and a lot of other places. So pretty interesting, and she's making a really big impact. So yeah, check that out. And you guys ready? Go around the horn. All right, let's do it. So I'll start, I guess. Right now, we're gonna talk about something that came up. It was a little bit ago. It was like a week or so ago, but we hadn't had a podcast since, so I've been kind of holding on to it. But it's Twitter founder Jack Dorsey has launched. I say soft launch. I guess he launched as in a soft way a messaging app that doesn't need the internet. So there was a little bit of buzz a couple weeks ago around this, and I wanted to talk more about it. It's called Bitchat, and it's not necessarily launched yet because it's not publicly available. But the idea behind it is that they soft launched this messaging app, and Jack Dorsey's very familiar with messaging apps because of Twitter, right? And his background there. So basically, it's built to work completely offline. So if you can imagine being able to text people on your phone offline using Bluetooth low energy mesh network. So that's pretty cool. Messages are passed device to device. No Wi-Fi, no self-service, no servers, no phone numbers, which is kind of weird. Uh, but yeah, it features this it features end-to-end encryption, so it's secure, zero data collection, and it's basically almost like think of it as like how we do airdrops of photos and files on your if you're an Apple user. It's like an encrypted airdrop for chat. It's like real-time messaging between phones, no internet required, and it's not fully launched yet. It's like I said, soft launch, limited beta. They're using a test flight right now, and there's about 10,000 users now testing it. And then the open source, so that's on iOS, and then the Android side, there's an open source GitHub that's not available on Google Play yet, and it's not been approved yet for store. So I guess you're wondering why we're talking about something that's not available yet. It has to do with the fact that it's a new direction for messaging and communication, and it's decentralized, private. It's got some resilience to it, and it's like also Jack Dorsey who's behind it, and you got this kind of new groundwork, I guess you could say, that he's laying for what could come next without the need of the the network, more or less. And it could be really interesting when you've got outages, protests, surveillance, or anything like that, because now you've got this thing that's mission, could be mission critical communications, could be available in the next few years. Um, I don't know. I think it's interesting that we heard about it already, but obviously it has to do with the celebrity, tech celebrity behind who's making it. But I love that it's not, it's new, it's innovative, and it could be a game changer, especially for anybody during those, like I said, blackouts, censorship, packed events. Like if you're at a concert or something or a sporting event and you can't get a network, this could be the way to go. And there have been others that have tried similar things, BridgeFi, Chatfire, and I think there's a couple, like obviously Google and Apple have done like file shares, but it's not been something that's been like critically adopted to the masses. And so I think this could be a huge opportunity for something like this to happen. And, it could be a really interesting privacy first experiment that turns into the way that we communicate.
Yeah, that's really fascinating. I imagine there would be a great use case for like military scenarios, especially in places where there's no internet or you don't want to be seen by others on like some local network. I'm still like not entirely sure how it works, if I'm being completely honest. But it sounds like it would be a complete game changer if this can get rolled out to the public.
Yeah, it's Bluetooth. Just so it uses Bluetooth technology mesh. So it creates a mesh network amongst phones that are all around, and then it uses that technology to like kind of like when you sync your AirPods to your phone. It uses that same frequency to communicate and send messages. And so obviously encrypted versus just like sending them over the wire. So really focus on privacy, and their mission is all around privacy, and they also are open source, which is kind of interesting. So it's like all in. People are trying to make communications better, faster, more encrypted, and not to rely on these networks that then could drop, I guess, be watching, I guess, or whatever. So I think that's kind of
I'm
interesting.
so curious about it because Bluetooth to me is like one of the um I have a friend who calls it promiscuous promiscuous technology, right? Because it's, literally Frank can be in the house, with his phone connected to his headset with Bluetooth, and then I start up the car in the yard and it jumps over. So I'm very curious about how Bluetooth will make this a secure and dependable technology.
Yeah, me too. Obviously don't know every single, the whole ins and outs of the low energy, um, you know, Bluetooth low energy signal for communications, but each phone acts as like a node and like transmits out like the mesh signal. So similar, like we have these little pods in our house to create a mesh network, and so your basically messages are passed from phone to phone in the network. So that's how you extend it. So like it's only going to be as big as the mesh network around it, right? So but if you've got enough people around and um, it could be really interesting. So and I guess the signal strength of a node is about 100 meters. So you're obviously going to need to be able to be close by to have it hop from node to node. So
Yeah, I would hope there's, and you just talked about this, but and maybe this is a stupid question, but I really hope it'll be an opt-in scenario where even if you're not part of their service, it still uses your Bluetooth signal as part of the mesh. I think that would be pretty absurdly invasive if you didn't sign up for their product. But I would imagine they would need that kind of reach to make it work unless they had like a very good initial sort of usage by like their customers.
yeah, I mean, you're going to need like more than one person, obviously. So I think that's the
Yeah.
key is like you're going to need like a group of people to use it to be able to have this ability, So I don't know. I think it's still there's a lot of questions because we haven't been able to test it out yet and see how it works exactly. But um, yeah, I think this is really interesting that they're leveraging a technology like that's been out there for a while to kind of create a backdoor for communications. So, Johnny, anything? We're gonna move on.
No, I think technology is fascinating, as we were talking about. I think you did a real nice job of covering everything. Jack Dorsey is obviously interesting because he's so forward thinking, and the applicability, I think, of the technology is it's going to be something to keep an eye on and see where it goes. I am sitting in the middle of a cornfield in Indiana, so I don't think I'm meshing with anybody else's Bluetooth right now. So I may be on the outside of that technology.
Yeah.
But no, I think you can understand where people could go with it.
Yeah, I mean, you're talking like it's only going to work in crowded areas, right? Because you need people around for it to work, right? So it's just like think about it, just like your internet drops. Like we have these little mesh networks, like from Deco, and or you can get, there's Arrows has them, Google makes them, whatever. There's a bunch of them in your house, and if you're outside of your house, all of a sudden you get too far away. Obviously, you can't get your internet anymore. It's the same concept, right? So our phones though
Sure.
just turn into those networks, and if you're around people, it's not going to work. So obviously great for college campuses, festivals, busy cities,
Right.
parade, anything that's got people around, density, sporting events. But the minute you're, like you said, in rural areas like where we're at, even in Maine here, like I don't think we're going to have a great usage of it yet for a while.
You know, that makes me actually think this is probably going to be incredibly helpful for like disaster recovery
Yeah.
and for like areas in which the Wi-Fi is just completely taken down by like the nature and whatnot. So I was just thinking that that will be incredibly helpful, I think.
Yeah, and definitely as we see more of those natural disasters happen, everything from hurricanes to we got a tsunami warning right now in Hawaii. Things like natural, fires, things like that bring down the network. It could be really helpful. And so I guess even in those rural areas, it could be helpful in that situation. So again, it could be situational to start, but eventually as it continues to grow, if everyone starts adopting something like this, it wouldn't be unheard of to have, we're pinging off our neighbor who's not, 100 meters is pretty far, right? It's not you can do the math on that, but it's about 300 feet, right? Is that right?
Well, like generally when Jack Dorsey gets behind something, there's going to be some sort of legs to it. Twitter, Square, etc. He's kind of a disruptor. So I think the technology is what's going to be moving forward. It doesn't necessarily need to, it's not perfect right now, but they'll iterate and come up with something.
Yeah. And I was off. It's actually 328 feet.
Thank you for
So,
clarifying.
yes, if you're using our American system of measurement. Okay, so let's move on to our next topic at hand. We've got Johnny. You're up next on my little scribble sheet. So let's talk about what you're talking about, and then move on to Jen and rounding out the rear. We've got Simon. All right, so Johnny, let's go.
Sure. Well, I think you and I have messaged about this a little bit, Frank, but there's a interstellar, you know, traveling. Most people think it's a comet, but it's going to be coming pretty close to the Earth here soon. And there's actually a Harvard scientist that says that the interstellar commerce comet could be an alien craft, and we shouldn't rule it out without having the data. So the comet, if it is a comet, is known as 3I forward slash Atlas. And Avi Loeb, who has actually been in the news with stuff like this before, is saying that, it could be proof of alien life and not to take that off, not to assume that it's just a comet because it is making some intelligent movements out there in space. So I found that very fascinating.
Wow, that is crazy. How far are we talking here? Do we know distance wise? What do you talk? How many long? How long
In
or far?
meters.
In your feet? Can you tell me in feet how far this is?
Well, I think it's gonna be closer to us than the sun, which I think is pretty darn close.
Okay.
And I know that right now it's gonna go close to Venus, Mars, and Jupiter and the Earth. So it is making some erratic movement out there, which could be a comet we've never heard of before that's doing some things out there, which people
Hmm.
are, assuming, or there's enough to it that we got to check out the data and let's not rule out that it could be something intelligent.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's interesting. I'm sorry, Simon. Do you want to go ahead?
Well, I was gonna say I always find this stuff really fascinating, and I remember maybe 2 or 3 years ago there was another interstellar object that was like hanging around our solar system, and they observed it increase in acceleration without a exhaust or something, so that or something of the sort. So it indicated that it might be like controlled, which would be really cool. My main qualm with these kind of things is I think the way we have started naming planets and comets is like a huge disservice to creativity. Like I think it would be a lot cooler if the comet was named something like Mega Comet and not C135BA. You know what I mean? You
I,
back me
I agree. I agree with you, Simon. I second that.
If Marvel could only name the
up?
comets.
Yeah, I could name the comments. I would do it for free
Yep.
for a small subscription fee.
they'd be much easier to remember too, because we could think back to whatever, like a few years ago when we were like, God, remember when Mega Comet was like,
I know it'd be a lot easier, I'm telling you.
So the interesting thing about this, and I just wanted to Google something really quick to see if it was similar. So John, I remember earlier this week I sent you a link to it was an old archived UFO hunter video of, I think it was Josh Corbel or Jeremy
Corbell, yeah.
Corbell,
Jeremy Corbell.
Jeremy Corbell, who's on that program a lot, talking about aliens and stuff like that. Anyway, he's
Sure.
talking about the idea of this lie that's going to come out soon. And you know what the lie is?
That there's UFOs.
No, the lie is that there's an alien spacecraft coming our way.
I've heard this. I've heard this
And that's what
line.
John just said, that there's an alien spacecraft. So this is the lie to basically do full disclosure of the fact that there's quote unquote aliens here or have been for a while. That's what he's saying, that this has been in the works
It's a
for a while.
distraction. It's a distraction from the Epstein files, right?
No. What I'm trying to say is it's not a distraction. It's actually their way of basically allowing it to come
finally,
out. Finally
finally breaking the news.
Right, because
Oh,
it's been
gotcha.
around for a while. They've known it for a while, but they've never told anybody about it. So they need to come up with some kind of thing that would actually allow them the ability to then say, "Oh, guess what? It did happen. We had a landing, and here they're here." Yet his thought and what he's saying is that they've been here for a while, and they're.
Yeah, I think I agree. I know his. I'm a fan of his work, and so I do. I'm gonna bite my tongue here because I don't want everybody out there, our listeners, to think I'm too weird. But I would not be surprised if something like that did happen. So
Yeah, no, it's interesting. I mean, yeah, it's definitely interesting because we've heard about Roswell and some of these things for years, and all the things that kind of lead up to it, and then yet there's been no talk about it or disclosure about alien life, and then he's coming out saying this, and then all of a sudden here you are telling me that a Harvard scientist. And I actually looked, I never could actually find a legitimate source that said this, so that's why I thought it was actually a viral, like just a viral thing going around, John. That's why. So for you to share the link to the CBS News report, and again, they could have, I guess, been scammed or something like that. But it sounds like if a Harvard scientist is saying it, then it's out there, right?
Do we have
sure.
a say? Do we have a say in who gets to be the person to talk to the aliens first? Like, do I have any input about who is that person is?
Well, let's find out. Who are you thinking?
I don't know. I'm thinking someone like universally loved, like
Like,
Jason Bateman. Jason Bateman, I really like. Um,
He'd be able to
or
talk. I mean, on Ozarks, he could talk to anyone. So if he can do
I
that
know.
live,
Thank you. Yes, that's what I'm talking about. We need Jason Bateman to hang out with the aliens. I would argue.
Mhm. I think
yeah,
like a talk
yeah,
show host could be really good at it too. Like,
like Oprah.
yeah, definitely. Well, I was even thinking somebody like Conan O'Brien or Jimmy Fallon or one of those guys like Seth Meyers or somebody like that could probably do a good job. They get a lot of, they host a lot of those types of things. Not like
Yeah.
that they're hosting aliens all the time. I'm saying they're hosting people all the time and have to figure out how to communicate with them. So anyway, something to think about.
But
Uh,
this is, going back to John's point earlier, this is also a very good distraction away from the Epstein files. So we've got that too. So, this may be dialed up or dialed down depending on what's going on,
yeah,
you know, in Washington.
yeah. We'll keep an eye on it and our ear to the rail. But interesting that it's actually come out on an actual publication because I thought it was just a viral thing going around as a meme or something like that. All right, so let's switch gears unless anybody wants to keep poking at the aliens. No? Oh, no takers? Okay. Jen, let's switch gears now. Let's talk about something pretty lovable.
Oh, so we're talking about some tech here again.
Mhm.
Um, This is a TechCrunch article, 8 months in, Swedish unicorn Lovable. So some of you have heard of Lovable AI, crosses the 100 million ARR milestone. So this is huge. For those of you not familiar with Lovable, again, it's an AI company with the vision of empowering the 99% of people who don't code by turning plain English ideas into production grade apps through what they call vibe coding. So they aim to unlock creative potential by making software truly accessible. So and some of you have tried it, so we'll touch on that in a second. But I want to touch on a few things about this article that make this company just interesting and special. So let's see. So Speed, we just talked about, they hit $100 million in annual recurring revenue in just 8 months after launch, making it Europe's fastest SaaS centaur, faster than Notion, Figma, Cursor, and I think even Copilot. So that is just incredible growth. It's just like breaking. It's got to be the fastest. I'm not sure. We can check that. But point number two. So this is with an incredibly lean team. So just 45 full-time employees, according to, I think that was in the TechCrunch article. So that brings us to about $2 million per employee. That is incredible. That's like skeleton crew, if you think about it, for that size of a of revenue. Point three, massive user base, strong conversion. So they boast 2.3 million million active users with 180,000 paying subscribers in that short of a time frame. So pretty exceptional. Number four, pricing redesign for enterprise credibility. This is interesting. So they had this like, oh crap moment, right? They deliberately they changed the way their tiers were working, and overnight they lost 1.5 million in recurring revenue by moving users from a more expensive tier to a cheaper collaborative enabled pro tier. And then they introduced a new business tier with more privacy controls and different features. This was, again, like, this is someone who's not, their leadership not panicking over changes and decisions, because in the long term, this is actually building a much stronger and resilient company. It's pretty incredible. And then the last point I wanted to make is they've really kind of gone from at first being like a little prototyping tool to actually having these production grade products. So they have clients like HubSpot and Photoroom and Klarna, and they've really been pivoting away from this idea of being just a prototype tool to being production grade. So I'm curious. I think some of you have tried it out. Would love to hear thoughts on the company, the tool, and I think it's just this is a physics. I think physics educated CEO. What is his name? Our Lovable CEO is Anton Osika. Great job, Anton. This is incredibly brilliant. And yeah, would love to hear from you guys. Anyone try Lovable?
I haven't tried it yet, Jen, but it sounds great.
Yeah, it's pretty phenomenal growth. I mean, amazing growth. And I guess if the numbers hold, they're rewriting SaaS, right? The whole way that this is being done. If they're not, then it could be just a fiery explosion. So I'm hoping it's the first of the two.
Have you guys tried it?
Oh, I thought you guys had. Have you tried another program to write code?
Yeah, I've just used ChatGPT. I've not tried Lovable yet. And I mean, I'm happy to check it out. It sounds like it could be another way to get things done faster.
I've tried ChatGPT like Frank, and then I've also tried Google. I can't think of it right now, but Google's app coder as well.
Yeah. I think what I think is so exciting about it is that exciting and also terrifying, right? We talked about AI music last week or last podcast. Like AI is changing every way we work and is enabling anybody to do anything without having to have the perfect skill set to do it. So I think it's turning everyone into a creator. And I think that's the biggest takeaway here is like you've got an idea now. You don't have to shelf it. You can literally just talk to with ChatGPT, you can just talk to to them. I don't know how this is set up with Lovable. I'd have to check it out. But you're basically able to create things that you came up with that you would normally be stumbling around trying to find your network. You're through your network finding a developer or finding a co-founder that could be the dev lead or whatever. And now you could actually work with prototyping it right away and getting it out there. So I think that's the biggest change for me is like it's get people off the sidelines that were just not technical or didn't have the means to do this, or whether it be this or create music or write books or whatever.
Yeah, I mean, we've over the years worked with thousands of entrepreneurs and how many of them came in saying like, "Oh my God, I'm trying to get this off the ground. I need a technical person to help me build this prototype." And for so many people, and think about, as we try to reach people in more rural communities, people who don't have, the networks to find a technical co-founder. Not saying that you won't at some point need to have technical people on your team, but again, like you were saying, Frank, to get started, to get something, an MVP out there, just to prove your concept, this is could be a real game changer for a lot of people.
We talk about AI a lot, taking away jobs and all that, but I think it's going to be an enabler for multiple thousands of billionaires to make whatever it is they want to make. Like I honestly think it's going to be an enabler for people creating millionaires and billionaires off of the ideas that they have in their heads and not being able to do it before. Now they can actually leverage these tools to do that.
Yeah, and they've actually, so if you dive into the story deeper, they've already started talking about the people who have already made millions from the apps that they've created on Lovable. So it's
Yeah.
incredible to watch.
Well, you just basically told me that I'm correct. That's awesome.
Yep.
All right. So that's awesome. So I guess we'll have to try it and maybe come back with some ideas of an app that we create over here at Somewhat Frank. Try Lovable out, see what we can come up with. If you have ideas, send them to us at somewhatfrank@est.us, an app that you want to see created in the world, and we'll come up with our own and be off to the races.
Is
I
there?
think the first one should really be how to make finding and signing up for summer camps better.
I was gonna say aliens. I was gonna say finding or like talking some sort of alien thing, but yours sounds a little bit more practical.
So you're saying just maybe we should use Lovable to create like an interstellar translator?
Or I was thinking a protocol. So like no matter where you are on Earth and you're in like the scenario, it would tailor like the instructions on what to do if you meet aliens based on exactly where you are and like the language you speak and stuff. Sort of like a prep app for when disclosure happens.
I like it.
Something to think about.
Very aligned with this episode.
Always
All
goes
right.
back to aliens.
Yeah. All right. Anybody else have any thoughts on Lovable? All right. Moving along here. Simon rounded up the last topic here. What do you got for us?
Yeah, so I read in the news that Australia, which is a country that already has a few restrictions for children using social media, they have recently now included YouTube in their list of sites restricted for people under the age of 16. And I just found this very interesting because Australia is not the only country that's doing this. Many countries in Europe, Oceania, Asia, Oceania, and some states in the US are trying to do similar things. But for Australia in particular, under these new rules, children can still actually access YouTube. They just can't log in, they can't post, they can't comment, and they can't like or receive personalized recommendations. And the more I read about these restrictions being placed on people under the age of 16, my personal take is that it's far too little, like way, way too late. I feel like these restrictions should have been put into place in like the early 2000s if we had known sort of the impact social media would have. And these discussions, people were discussing these restrictions even when I was still in school, and I remember thinking that it was sort of a joke a little bit. Like kids will always find a way around this, and if anything, it'll probably make them more interested in looking at stuff that they're not supposed to be looking at online. But that's my take, and I was actually curious, Frank and Jen, what your take is as parents, and John, of course, your take as well. So I brought this up. Would love to hear what you guys have to say.
Great question, Simon. I'm gonna jump in really quick. So I love the idea of it actually, even though, I'm not generally for this kind of oversight, but on the end of the day, it's like these algorithms are basically hijacking kids' brains, and it takes a minute or 2 hours to get them out of that sense. The dopamine hits so much that they get used to it. So I think I like it. I just don't, like you said, kids are smart and they're gonna figure out a way around it. So, but at the end of the day, I don't think it's too late. So you asked, is it too late? It's never too late. Start now. It's gonna help a generation now going forward. Basically not be a brain zombie or a screen zombie to some of these things. And granted, they can still watch. They just won't be seeing all the comments and likes and having to deal with that side of the social side. So I think that's important for protecting kids.
Yeah, I want to amend actually my initial take because I think you brought up like algorithms. I think that's a great point. Like I think the pipeline into kind of weird areas that should not be allowed for children, like kind of super in-depth analytics on how to make their algorithm as addicting as possible. So I agree with you there.
It's impacting their self-worth at the end of the day too. So you got that element too. Certain platforms are, they're posting all the time, looking at themselves all the time, making sure, people they're living in that, that world versus the real world. So I think that's the other thing. I don't know.
Yeah, I think one of the things you touched on was around recommendations, and that is for sure something. It strikes a nerve because I remember one of the first things I noticed about parental controls, for example, beloved Apple, there's so many little things that they just have not paid attention to from a parental control standpoint. So, for example, you can create a setting that restricts the type of music that a kid can download to listen to. Yet, the recommendation engine that they plug into everything then goes out and finds a bunch of songs and doesn't even apply the parental controls to their recommendations. So before you know it, your kid's listening to all these songs, dropping F-bombs, doing all these things, and you're like, what the heck just happened? Where did these come from? Oh, but mommy, like it just showed me this and it showed me that and it showed me that. And before you know it, they're down this other path. So recommendations is like a sore point for me.
Well,
And
that whole loophole that we found on Apple is an issue, right? They gotta patch that up.
there's a bunch of loopholes that just yeah, they just make me insane. But just all the recommendation engines, right? Like it's that never-ending binge concept. So it's not just about the what a person can see, but it's the true fabric of the navigation of all of these things. Just because these were so great for adults to be able to serve everything up on a T, for a kid, it is disastrous. It literally creates this, we go back and talk about, wow, when I was a kid, how come TV wasn't such a big deal? And it was because there was no programming, right? You could sit there, but within 2 or 3 hours, unless it was Saturday morning, you were pretty bored. Like it would just switch to something that you couldn't stand and you would just wander off and go play. Now it is literally you are programming it with your likes, so it gets more and more and more and more and more interesting the longer you sit there, and it pretty much guarantees your kid's going to be a couch potato. So I think there's a lot more that could be done, personally.
Yeah. Echo that. Echo that. All right. Anybody else? All right. Let's move along to our testing 1, 2, 3. I've only got one item here, and then we're going to talk about watching. So we'll go quick here. I visited a Portland company today. We got a nice tour of a new facility, or their facility over in Portland. It's a company called one of your favorite topics, Johnny. Guess what they make?
Mushrooms.
Mushroom stuff. It's a company called North Spore, and they make these kits. They basically are the number one stop on the internet. If you go to northspore.com, premier destination for if you're trying to grow mushrooms, it's your one-stop shop. And so they sell these kits, they sell this boxes and a bunch of different things where literally you can just open it up and start growing mushrooms, and you'll be able to eat the mushrooms. This one happens to be for blue oyster mushrooms, and they also make little, I guess, some other fun things. Tinctures. They gave me a bunch of these things to check out. Tinctures. These are going to help your brain health. Reishi and lion's mane. These are little tinctures you can put into different drinks or whatever. And they also have a a pill version, capsule version of herbal supplements called Spectrum 10, which I was actually going on Amazon and buying something different. So I'm gonna now start supporting this thing. It's got about, what is it? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. I think it's like 12 different types of mushrooms in it, or sorry, 10 different types of mushrooms in these. It's going to help you with your brain health and also your recovery and inflammatory response. So I think it's pretty cool. Excited about this company. They're doing really, really well from a revenue perspective and continue to grow. And I got the chance to see how they make the donuts, but in this case, it was mushrooms. And it was really cool. All right. Oh, and we're going to test out all those things, is what I guess my point was. And we'll tell you how we do. Oh, and they also make mushroom coffee, but it's not decaf. But they do make mushroom coffee. So if you want to try it, Johnny, let me know. I got a hookup. All right.
Will do,
Moving on.
Frank.
What's that? Leave it to me.
I said, will do. I'll let you know.
Okay, let me know. All right. So watching, John, go ahead.
I've been watching Quarterback on Netflix. It's a really nicely well done documentary, executive produced by Peyton Manning and Patrick Mahomes, but it follows around Jared Goff, Joe Burrow, and Kirk Cousins last year. It's if you love those kind of shows, I mean, even my wife was into it. There's good storylines. It's not only about football, it's about the players' lives um, with their families and how they balance, playing football with everything else. So it's really good. And then I did watch, I think Frank, you talked about this a while ago. I watched Death of a Unicorn. Saw that one as well, and it wasn't realizing that I was in for like a horror movie.
Yeah, I think
But
it premiered
it's
at South by
kind of a
Southwest,
horror movie.
right? Isn't that, I think in March it was like one of the movies at South by Southwest.
Yeah, you're right.
I think so, yeah.
And
Yep.
I don't know. I wasn't the biggest fan, even though I do like what's it, Paul Rudd and can't think of the other actress's name that's in Wednesday, but she's really good as well.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, I've been watching quite a bit lately. But definitely suggest Net Quarterback on Netflix if you get a chance.
All right, we'll check that out. All right, moving up, Simon.
I've been watching I watched Happy Gilmore 2 on Netflix. Which for I'm assuming most people know, but the first Happy Gilmore, I believe, came out in 95 or something like that. Is that crazy, Frank?
Yeah, that's about right. 30 years.
And so yeah, so they made the second one. It came out I believe this week or last week on
Yeah.
Netflix. Um, it's good. It's a little silly, but it's cool. It's like not meant to be Citizen Kane, I guess. I've also never seen Citizen Kane, but it's not supposed to be that, I don't think. It has a lot of cameos. It's great. It kind of pits like the plot is sort of like normal PGA versus the Live tour. And yeah, pretty good. Give it a watch. Fun watch.
Jen and I watched it too. It was pretty silly, but we enjoyed the cameos and the nostalgia. So I have to give,
Yeah.
and there obviously a big build up for having that come back again 30 years later. And he had some cameos from his wife, I think was in it. His two daughters were in it. Like,
Yeah.
it was great.
It was like a big advertisement just for everything, like for
But
other
it was
actors.
good. I felt like it was funny enough to keep watching. But again, like you said, it's not going to win an Academy Award. But
No,
it was
yeah, good movie though. Worth a
So
watch.
Simon, you had seen the original?
I had seen, yeah, I've seen the original.
Just making sure.
No, I've seen the original.
okay.
It is a little before my time. I think I thought it was gonna be in black and white, but it was in color, so that's kind of cool.
Oh, dagger.
That was it was a burn. All right, Jake, go ahead.
Um, yes, so you mentioned Happy Gilmore, definitely saw that. But since then, I've not gotten into any TV shows since Stick. So I've been watching, this is so bad. I've been watching van life videos. For some reason they started popping up. Like I think I was looking at a tiny house for a family member. And so vans started popping up. And then all of a sudden on YouTube, I didn't know there's this whole class of videos that are like single women traveling the country in their tricked out vans. And they all have these enormous YouTube channels. They're all like, million followers. And they just constantly take you on tours of their van over and over again, but also like how they do things, like how they move from site to site or how they make their breakfast and clean up their van, and they all have a dog, at least one dog. So anyway, I'm watching all the van life videos. They're
That's
fun.
interesting. So are you like fantasizing about living in a van down by the river or something?
Contemplating my escape. No,
Oh,
I think it's, the more complex life gets, there is this sort of fantasy about like how simple could it be? And like what would that be like just for like a little while? Like could I just could I live like that? And some of these people, they've been living like this for like 5, 6 years.
yeah.
And they've started, like one woman said she started in her Toyota Prius. She started in her Prius, like car camping, and then like started saving up and got nicer rigs, and now she's in like the full-on Mercedes Sprinter, completely decked out, and to her it's like the Taj Mahal, and I'm still like, wow.
Yeah. I would love to have a Sprinter. I would like park it at the ocean over there and just like strum my guitar as I watch the waves come in. That's like a kind of, I guess, a
And then when you get tired, go home to your actual house with a yard.
yes. But I think it's awesome. I think we go on lots of adventures with it. I actually like it. We used to have a boat and it kind of reminds me of boating without the as much
Yeah.
danger, I guess, around and like less moving parts that make you have to think about things because you already know how to drive a car. So
And easier to repair because
yeah,
usually you can find a repairman.
right. All right. That's really
Mechanic.
cool. I love it. So let me quickly share what I've been watching and we'll kind of conclude. But I watch, like I mentioned at the top, Cubbies baseball has been really fun to watch this season, and the boys of summer are playing really well. But I wanted to mention one thing. One of my childhood heroes, Ryan Sandberg, passed away this week recently, and obviously very sad to see that. He was 65, big Hall of Fame baseball player. So lot of love for him, and I've been actually, I guess. Scrolling a lot, watching a lot of the memorial videos and things people were posting about it. So obviously, heart goes out to the family and all those that have watched him. He brought a lot of joy to like millions of people on WGN back when Harry Carey used to announce. So brought back a lot of childhood memories. So on that note, for everyone who wants to connect with us, please reach out to somewhatfrank@est.us. You can share your ideas, interesting stories, weird news. As you can see, we're a little quirky. We do try to stay on point though with some of the more interesting topics and innovation and things as they kind of interact with your personal life and space and obviously future. So anything like that, please do share it with us though, and we'll love to talk to you. So send us a note. Please review us in the App Store. It does help us get found. More people can come over and chat with us on the different streams. And then obviously, if you have a cool guest or things you're working on, please do, or anything to just make us laugh. We like to laugh too. Laughter is good for you. Come over and send it our way at somewhatfrank@est.us. Until next time, please stay curious out there, stay creative, and stay somewhat frank. Have a great day. Thanks for listening to the Somewhat Frank podcast. If you haven't already done so, please subscribe and leave us a review. We love the feedback and are grateful to have you as a listener. Have a great day.